And I would like to ask Ronald to deal with number one, the housekeeping rules. Ronald, are you still there?
Yes, Rizenga, thank you very much. Some of the housekeeping information. First of all, I would like also to welcome everyone to this meeting. It's a once a year meeting of the full membership of the Global Working Group, and I'm very happy that we can have that meeting today. Even as our chair indicated, it's a compressed session of about 2 hours. The session is recorded. I want to highlight that. You've seen that on your screen. I just emphasize, my team will try to keep the mics muted, please, if you can do so yourself also. Then, as indicated, the time for discussion will be short. Under agenda items 3 and 6, you can raise your hands. If raising the hands function does not work, please indicate in the chat if you would like to speak. Otherwise, we really encourage you to, for your comments and questions, put it in the chat box, and we will include that in our report of this meeting. So that will not be lost. Please use that function, given the fact that we have limited amount of time. Also, if there are comments and questions which you would have after the meeting, please also write to us about that, and then we'll see also that we can mention that once we make the report of this meeting. Back to you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ronald. I would rather implore you again, if you still have a few more minutes, Ronald, to take us through the current structure of the GWG. And of course, this is more for information than for discussions.
Thank you very much, Chair. I will share my screen and we'll see if that will work. I'll basically just show the one slide, which also have seen, I think, in the documentation. So just want to highlight some of the aspects so everyone in the Global Working Group is aware of the current structure and functioning of the Global Working Group. So this picture, you've seen it in the documentation. I want to highlight a few things. First of all, we have now one chair, and it's Mr. Rizenga Maluleke. He's the chair of the Global Working Group. Will represent the Global Working Group at official occasions, and also presides over this meeting, over the advisory board meeting, which meets, it's the management group for the Global Working Group, which meets about 3 to 4 times per year. We have 2 vice chairs. One vice chair is Mr. Niels Ploeg from Denmark. He is coordinating the work around the task teams. And also the scientific committee. Scientific committee, which we still formally have to get installed, is there for assuring quality of all the outputs from the Global Working Group, specifically all the outputs of the task teams. Our other vice chair is Mr. Tom Smith from ONS UK. He is coordinating the work on the UN Global Platform and the regional hubs, also coordinating the work from the Technical Delivery Board and the Technical Support Team. So everything having to do with the UN Global Platform resides with Mr. Tom Smith. On this picture further, as indicated on the left-hand side, we have the regional hubs. We will hear about that today. There's also indicated here GPSDD. We will hear about that. That's the Global Partnership for Sustainable Development Data, which is managing on behalf of our community, managing the UN Global Platform. So this is a very quick, brief overview of the functioning of this the structure. Most of the work is being done through the task teams. And I already, and we'll probably remind you a few times today, is especially for those members who are currently not active yet in the task teams, we really encourage you to make staff available to be part of that. The work, a lot of the work is done there. We also will encourage you to help on the technical support team, which helps out on supporting the projects on the platform. We also like to have a further staff of the members of this global working group participating with us actively in those bodies. That is all for me, Chair. I'm giving back to you.
Thank you very much, Ronald, and we really appreciate the work that you're doing from the side of the Secretariat. I was brought up in the village, quite one of the most remote villages here in South Africa. And one of the things that I've always been taught is protocol. So when protocol is observed and you have skipped other people, you always need to say all protocols observed. But when I'm seated here and I see the director of the UNSD, Mr. Stefan Schweinfurst, and I know that he has always done a great job in facilitating from the side of the Secretariat of the UNSC to make sure that we gather from time to time in New York. Protocol doesn't allow me to skip him. He still has to greet us and say a few words. Then I'll lead with the program. Stefan.
Thank you very much, my brother Rizenga. And one day we have to compare our notes between your African small village and my Bavarian small village where I grew up. No, I just wanted to say hello. I know you have very, very little time. I'm so moved every time I switch on my computer in the early morning and I see again 50 plus people, and this is 50 plus connections. We can see from China that one connection can be even more people that are working together, and it makes me reflect on the meaning of United Nations, what it really means. Often people only think of the Secretariat building in New York, but that's really only the Secretariat. I mean, the United Nations is all of you, all of the people coming together as a professional community working on a dedicated topic. And in a way, this crisis has even pushed us closer together. And I'm very often impressed and moved. And the Big Data Working Group is just one example that works even harder in this crisis situation. And I wanted to certainly not miss the opportunity to thank you all. I know how all of the task teams have been very active, and I've seen the work, and I'm very impressed. And this is a data moment. I would say it's perhaps even a big data moment, because we have seen that around us the demand for timely and integrated and high frequency data has increased. And many statisticians have said to me that this is a unique opportunity to actually, that they got access to data that they normally would not easily get access to. So I think this is really the right moment to reflect how we can give our big data work that has been going on for quite a while a push to the next level. And I think the global platform is, of course, that opportunity. And I'm very, very proud of what has been achieved so far. And I've even briefed the Secretary General's office on this, because even at the very highest level at the United Nations, we have now a UN data strategy. And the Secretary General's office was quite impressed how we had taken work in the statistical sphere and the geospatial sphere, in the big data sphere forward, and always guided by the principles of quality control, better integration, enhancing the value of data, and making data accessible to people, and bringing them to the point where they are being used. So I'm very happy to see you all here. You will, however, also hear us plead a lot for help these days, because, as I said, the United Nations is not only the Secretariat, but it's all of us. And on these big projects like the global platform, we really all need to work together. And it's not only the intellectual contribution that you so generously make all the time. We unfortunately need real resource contributions to make this work, to keep the platform going. We need a financial support. We will talk about this and how this can be done and how perhaps others and everybody can contribute. And we also need the technical support. I mean, when I talk about resources, it's not always just money. Maybe you have a way to contribute through your knowledge or your skill or the skill of one of your colleagues and through one of our projects that would help to move the whole boat forward. So this is where we stand. Welcome to everybody. Thank you for everybody for engaging here. And I'll be with you just to learn a little bit more where we are. And unfortunately, we will probably not meet for the Statistical Commission this next year because it doesn't look likely that we will be able to organize a physical meeting. But that does, of course, not mean we will not be connected, and we will have a commission meeting, even if it's globally virtual. We are wildly determined to make this happen and move all of our work areas forward. So thank you again. And I wish you great success under your leadership, Rizenge, and thank you to my team and Ronald for the preparation of this meeting. Over to you.
Thank you, Stefan. Let me appreciate that if we didn't give you this chance, we wouldn't know that this matter has been elevated to the understanding or to the recognition by the Secretary General or the Office of the Secretary General. And on that note, then it puts a lot more responsibility on us to ensure that whatever we're putting through these efforts becomes a success. I want to focus us more on agenda item 3, and Tom Smith is already smiling greatly towards me. He has the responsibility of leading this agenda item. He will make a reference of introductions to Rob and Claire, but let me leave that to Tom. Tom, you have the responsibility for agenda item 3. It's one of the areas where we'll have a lot more discussions. Over to you, Tom.
Excellent. Many thanks, Rasenga. And as Stefan, I think, really clearly outlined, the data that we have available and the data that we can use as a global statistics community, and to really shed increased light on the problems that we're trying to solve and the challenges that we're helping tackle, that data is changing. The sources that we have available are changing all the time. And I think that was the history behind the Global Working Group on data. It formed in 2014 really as a response to the enormous diversity of data sources that we're now seeing. And the global platform came out of those discussions. So for those of you involved at the time, you may remember in the 4th annual data conference in Bogota, Colombia in 2017, there was discussion around the UN global platform and the proposal put forward. And then the UK's Office for National Statistics was very pleased and proud to help develop the program and the pilots, along with many colleagues in the room. And so over the period up till 2020, the beginning of this year, that pilot was sort of driven out of the UK's work, and particularly the team led by Heather Savory and in the data science campus, really involved. But that was a pilot. That was phase 1, maybe even phase 0, if you want to talk about it in this way. The real value here is in scaling this to a global community and a global program. And that's why the intention was always there for this to be handed over to the UNSD, so the statistics division led by Ronald and Stefan and others on the program, and for this to really kind of deliver and fulfill on its remit to support work across the globe for NSOs and for others. And so I think there are 3 principles. The first is around global data sources, and we'll all have good examples of those. I've got one that I might talk about if I've got a minute. The second is around infrastructure and processing. Lots of the work here to use these sorts of data sets is really challenging for statisticians building on all of the things that Stefan outlined around quality, around integration, about being really careful that we understand the provenance and the quality of data and the processing that we need to apply. But the third is perhaps the most important, and this is the community. So the global platform really is built around a community of users, a community that's looking at the same types of problems and challenges in different parts of the world and in different sectors of our governments and public sector and our work. So that community, that sharing of experience is really super important here. So I'd kind of flag up those three things. It's not just technical, it's not just data, it's also community. And around those three, I've got, would love to invite in three people who've really been leading and driving over the past periods. First up, Rob Mcclellan. Many of you will know he's from Statistics Canada. He's the chair of the Technical Delivery Board. He's going to look at what the activity on the platform is at the moment, what the current state of play is, the technical delivery and the program of development. So really what's there. Then going to hand over to Claire Melamed. Many of you will know she's the Chief Executive of the Global Partnership for Sustainable Development Data. Claire and her team have been managing the global platform on behalf of UNSD since July. She's going to talk through the community, the users, the use cases, some of the findings from the early scoping review that she's and team have carried out. And then finally, I'm going to hand over to Ronald in UNSD to discuss what perhaps could be a critical point for this discussion and this session. People have alluded to already funding and support and the community model. So to outline where we are on those. So kind of three, really excellent sort of insights. We've then got, as we said, some time for Q&A. Please put questions in the chat and I'll try and bring those into the discussion after I've invited the three speakers just to introduce. And the final one is that a point that I would like to make is that the platform is for all of us. And the example that I've got, which brings together for me the data, the technology and the processing and the community, is around the global shipping GPS data, or an automatic identification system, or AIS, as many of us know it. This is a truly global source brought together by data that's pinged up by ships and a very high time frequency. It's provided by collated by commercial sources. It's available in a number of different ways. Many NSOs, including in the UK, use this data. At the UK's ONS, we use it for a weekly update, which now feeds into our COVID delivery model. Many other NSOs I know are doing some excellent stuff from there, many of ideas that we've drawn on. So that's the data. In terms of the community, there is a task team on our AIS led by Marky, and some excellent examples of the work going on, all of which we're learning from. This is not a situation where one group, one organization, one country is ahead. Everybody is learning from everybody else. So the task team examples that came up in the hackathon last month were just really, really exciting examples of how you can use big data for official statistics. So I'm really kind of keen on that side. And the third bit, the technical processing and the capability that you need for that. Again, the platform can deliver that in a way that stops all of us having to replicate and recreate that kind of that processing, that analysis, those methodologies and so on. So I think that's a really nice example that encapsulates for me the sort of value of the platform and how we can use this. With that, let me hand over, and first of all, can I invite Rob Mcclellan to take the floor on behalf of the Technical Delivery Board. Rob, over to you.
Thank you, Tom. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I think Tom has done a wonderfully eloquent job of actually describing some of the exciting activities. To reiterate, we are talking about scalable infrastructure using cloud-based services. We are talking about providing access to data and also to the analytic means to extract value from it. And then again, I would like to also re-emphasize the notion of community. And so the Technical Delivery Board then exists to provide governance and oversight, and also to help work with the task teams to understand what their needs roadmaps are, and to ensure that we are actually marrying the evolution of the functionality in the platform to those needs. So that is a work in progress. I look forward to hearing from the task teams later this morning in this meeting. So we've been focusing on a number of those particular items. If you look at the attached document that is available, is the report from the Technical Delivery Board, you will see a summary of the activities that we have been involved in. One particular focus, led by Mark from Office of National Statistics, really was to consolidate and set up our governance framework further. And in particular, to make clear the lines of communication and decision making with respect to the regional hubs, which you'll hear more about in a minute, and with the actual core platform itself. We have been reviewing activities, looking at pilots and proofs of concept, and making, sometimes the challenging decisions to say, can we actually bring those online now on the platform, or is it something that we actually have to wait? So far, we have been successful in advancing on a number of proofs of concept, and in the appendix on that document, you will actually see a list of some of the activities that are going on, such as the AIS hackathon that was talked about, the .stat work with ChemStat, and others. I do also want to recognize the excellent staff working at the UNSD who are providing that platform support, Ronald and his team, because they are really the ones that are keepers of the platform and keeping it going with, again, support from members on the Technical Delivery Board. And that brings me to my last point, really, which is that, as has been discussed at the start with, I think, Stefan's remarks, we are looking continually for contributions in kind of expertise. And so I'd like to just make a few words to encourage folks that we are always looking for additional technical assistance, and so the potential to assign technical resources to help us with our platform activities are very helpful. We have been seeing some good success working with the private sector, such as Algorithmia, which is our method service, to negotiate favorable terms in terms of accessing some of their software. And so there is always, of course, the ongoing conversation about how do we make it financially sustainable. But from an effort perspective, it's really key as we grow use of the platform to build out the distributed support capability by getting in-kind contributions of technical staff. I think I'm going to stop there, Tom, so that I leave time for questions.
Great. Some great examples there, and if you haven't had time, colleagues, to look through the papers, the attachments that Rob referred to, there's some really good examples of the work going on and how, and particularly some of the global case studies. So thank you, Rob. And I just want to flag up there the importance of the contributions in kind and support for the technical aspects that Rob flagged there. Great. Let me hand over to Claire Melamed from the Global Partnership for Sustainable Development Data. Claire, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Robert and Resenga, and all. It's great to be here. So I really want to sort of, in a sense, Robert, in the great examples of kind of specific collaborations on the platform, has touched on the very critical role of the platform in terms of driving innovation and actually kind of practical change, and really providing the kind of infrastructure through which very practical experimentation, innovation, change is possible. I wanted to focus back again on the sort of what Tom was saying at the very beginning about the importance of community. So it's been fantastic, obviously, over the last few years, having kind of seen from the outside the evolution of the platform and watch it with great interest. It's been really a sort of privilege since July to be just a bit more involved, and to have been invited to take on this role, working closely with UNSD on the management of the platform. For those who don't know us, the Global Partnership for Sustainable Development Data was created in 2015, very much to kind of harness at the great kind of momentum around data, and particularly focused on driving progress in the Sustainable Development Goals. But obviously that's a very wide agenda. And we we're not part of the United Nations. We sit outside. We're hosted by the United Nations Foundation in the US, but we work very closely on a number of fronts with the UN Statistics Division. That's been a really fantastic relationship, and I think we were created very much to be the bridge between the statistics community and the other worlds of data that exist out there. I've just, through the magic of this new technology world we live in, I've just zoomed over from Nairobi while still being based in London, where I've been speaking at the launch of a new African civil society coalition on data rights. So we're very much created to kind of bridge those worlds, the official statistics, of civil society, and of the private sector. And I hope that it's in that capacity that we can kind of, be a helpful partner in these conversations, and specifically in the platform, which of course is the sort of technical infrastructure which is designed to achieve a very similar kind of partnerships and collaborations. So in terms of our role, as Tom said, we are of course managing the kind of contracting and some of the logistical aspects of the platform, and so this conversation about financing and the need for resources is certainly very close to the top of I'm very acutely aware of the importance of that. But I think the thing just to also, I guess, highlight, and very keen to have inputs and discussion today, is the parallel work that we are doing, that is very much under Ronald's guidance and supported by me and others in the team, around really understanding, and sort of from many different perspectives, the perspectives of users and of course potential users, really what the critical added value of the platform is. If we're talking about building a community, then we have to understand first the needs of that community. Who is the community? What do they need, and how can the platform help them to have it? So I think, there we have working with a great consultant. I'm not sure who he's on the line, Stefan Henriod, and he is, I think, would have talked to many of you, is having sort of extensive consultations with those involved, not involved in the platform, those running kind of similar parallel initiatives from other major institutions. And I hope that very soon we'll be able to present to you some kind of coherent propositions for discuss and decision on, really, as the platform evolves, how can we take it to that next stage where it's absolutely more than proved its value, of course, as a technical infrastructure, and we know what it can do. I think what we want to move now to the next stage is to set up the conditions so that it does do that, so that it fulfills that promise. And chief among that is really understanding how we can connect what the platform can do to where the needs are and what people most want it to do. So I think that is absolutely where we to be taking this. It's really exciting to be part of this conversation with you all, and very happy to answer any questions. Thanks, Tom.
Claire, many thanks for that, and some really important points in there for us to sort of chew over a little bit in the Q&A, in the questions, and particularly this sort of that challenge around the added value and the community need, the user need, that we go beyond thinking about this as technical infrastructure and data sources. Great. That probably sets the scene for Ronald to come and give us the lowdown on financial model and the community model and so on. And thanks for the paper that you shared. Ronald, over to you.
Thank you very much, Tom, and thanks to Rob and Claire for highlighting important aspects of the work that we are doing. I'm not sure if you can see the presentation. Very good. And also coming back to Tom, to your introduction. So ONS UK developed the platform, invested finances and people in the time of 2018, 2020, and then handed it over in the middle of this year to the UN community. And it needs to be emphasized that collectively we're now responsible for this. From UNSD, we're putting a lot of effort in it. We also need then support from others. We found for keeping the platform financed, so that we can finance the various services on the platform. First of all, the cloud service, but there are additional services also which make this platform performant. To keep that going, we were glad that we got the support from the Chinese government to use the Capacity Development Trust Fund that we have to do this for 2020. So just wanted to add that information in there. There was a substantial contribution from China in this. Then here, I don't know if this is readable on your screens, the points, what is the community model on which we are trying to sustain over a longer period of time the UN Global Platform? One, and it has emphasized a number of times already, we need in-kind expert contributions, both on driving innovation on new data solutions. So this is on projects, this is through the work of the task teams, the communities around that, but then also on making these projects work on the platform. We also have need real IT experts. We have a number of experts in our current team, fortunately, from my own team, but also from ONS UK, from Statistics Netherlands, Canada. We have that support, but with the increasing number of projects, to do this in a way that is timely, we need additional hands to be able to do that. And so there's again the outreach to all of the members to see if they can make staff available to help with us. I think it's also a good opportunity for your staff to actually get familiar with the various aspects of what is on the platform. And then for us, I mean, as a collectively, it is good to have the additional experts in there. Now there are funds needed to really make this work. We have running costs on the platform that we need to support. We want to split this into a base funding and into project funding. The base funding is really that we want to make 100% sure that the platform will be up and running. And for that, we need to make sure that our cloud services, the cost of the cloud services, are covered. That is, I mean, it's cost, but it's a relatively low amount of cost, if you like. We like to get sufficient funding to do this for a longer term period, that we can contracts which would last for several years instead of several months, to make sure that this platform is sustained. Then in addition, we hope to grow the platform through project funding. We are very active within the UN to talk to all kinds of development partners. Most of them are talking about able to fund projects instead of straight funding to the platform. So project funding will be important. Like with the example that Tom gave on the AIS data, it's really successful work. But there are costs to it that need to be covered, and for that we also try to find development partners or others to bring those contributions into that. So that is the model. A lot of in-kind support, which makes the platform attractive also, I think, and then some base funding for the really core services, and project funding to get additional data, to get additional functionalities on the platform, and to grow the platform. Some points for discussion, Tom, if I may. So just in general, if the reactions on this community model, if we have the support from our members of the Global Working Group, if they are able to give additional in-kind support. And then I think to be able to more systematically make sure that funding is available, I think we need a finance committee within the Global Working Group, a dedicated group who really focuses on the availability of funds, doing some outreach, and also how this funding will be a funding stream for a longer term sustainability of the platform. And with it, I give back to you, Tom.
Ronald, many thanks for that, and Rob and Claire also. So we've looked at the kind of current position, so from the technical delivery and the work going on and some of the ideas around the next steps. We've looked at the community and how we go beyond thinking about the platform as a technical delivery, but indeed delivering on value for communities and users. And then we've talked about how this can be supported and funded. And Ronald has left us here with, I think, 3 challenging points for all of us to discuss. I mean, maybe I would start, and please do, this is an opportunity now for questions from the community and from everyone on this call. While we're waiting for your questions to come in, please put them in the chat or raise your hand. I would maybe start just from the UK side. In terms of the community model, seems absolutely spot on. I think this was driven out of a kind of as a technical project, and actually the really exciting work now is about linking that technical work and into the community. So that's why I'm really pleased that Claire and GPSDD are up and running on this. So fabulous side. So that proposed community model for us feels absolutely spot on. In-kind support, we will continue. We see to support from our perspective. We see that this is a platform that we and others can use, and it feels like there is a scale benefit here, that by all supporting and contributing to this, we save time, we save investment, and so on. The Finance Committee, again, the challenges here are around developing sustainable long-term funding. That feels, again, a good move. So from our perspective, very, very happy to support on that side. So I've been covering while we're waiting for questions to come in. And Ivan, welcome. Good to see you. You have a question. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you for everyone who has shared on the progress so far. I think it's very encouraging. Ivan, the Deputy Director General of the National Institute of Statistics, Rwanda, standing in for Yusuf, who is on leave. Just to respond on the points for discussion, we also second the idea of the community. On that, I would say that maybe if we can also look at it in terms of regions, as the host for the Africa Hub, I think just that community of Africa having a dedicated resource expert working closer with us in terms of how we harness the platform, I think that's really something we would welcome. Maybe that goes to Claire and Rob, if you can speak to that. In terms of support in kind, as you know, we have big space at our office, which we have reserved for the regional hub. I think that's really one in-kind contribution we are willing to provide with the appropriate infrastructure that can serve not only our needs at office, but also the region. But also we have recently secured approval by government to add a fully fledged department for data science made up of 13 staff, including a director. And we have decided as management that that team will allocate some staff time towards the regional hub. In terms of contributing to the finance committee, I have discussed this with Yusuf. We, being a regional hub, also we think it will be worth to be on the committee. Thank you.
Ivan, many thanks. Claire, maybe I could ask you to respond on Ivan's question.
Thank you, Ivan. I think it's exactly a year ago that I was in your building in the NISR wonderful new building, launching the Data for Now initiative, which obviously is closely aligned to this with Yusuf, Oliver Chinganya, and many others. So it's very nice to see you. I mean, yes, I basically completely agree. And I think, just really sort of backing up what you've said and what Ronald has said, I think that capacity in particular is a really critical issue here. And I think speaks very much to the point about use and building the community. the fact of having the infrastructure and the sort of technical possibility doesn't mean that it's equally available to all. And if part of our commitment here is to sort of democratize the use of these technologies and the possibilities that some of the new the kind of new data sources present, I think we absolutely have to think about training and capacity development as a really critical part of this. And in fact, my organization, working with a number of others in the African region, is starting to develop a kind of capacity program focused really around kind of very much fellows within government working together on very kind of practical examples, very much in the spirit of the platform. And there's many other great initiatives also on capacity development. But I think that the platform provides, two things. It provides a kind of infrastructure, obviously, which can facilitate a lot of that capacity development and make it just easier and practical. It removes some of the barriers by having a sort of infrastructure there. And also, this comes back to the community point. We have to think about it as a place for sharing, and where the kind of the tools and the training that's developed by one person or organization can be easily spread to others. So I think you're absolutely right to raise that as one of the kind of critical things as we're thinking about finance, as we're thinking about actually what we do here. Thanks, Tom. Back to you.
Many thanks, Claire, and thanks, Ivan. Bert, CBS Netherlands, I see you have a hand raised. Welcome, good to see you. Over to you. Bert, are you still on mute?
I said so many wise things and you missed them, Tom. Okay, just want to start thanking you, Niels, Ronald, and all the others for the work that has been done the past year. A lot of things have been accomplished, and I think we can be proud on where the global platform is now. I agree with what Tom said. The value of the global platform is in the data it has, the global data sets, in the infrastructure, in the community, and all three of them provide value. We agree with the community model and are willing to contribute in kind as we did. I have a question and a suggestion with respect to these global data sets. The example you gave with Ais data is obviously something that really provided value. And I think we might explore how we can expand this to other global data sets. Last week I was in a meeting of the Friends of the Chair of Economic Statistics, and there was a clear question whether we could combine forces to get more access to private data sources that could help to describe the economy better. And there are opportunities, I think. In Europe, we've got integrated access to Airbnb data now, Expedia data for tourism. And that was even before the COVID crisis. In the COVID crisis, Stats Netherlands, we got now access to PayPal data and some other payment service providers. I think ONS has a lot of access to bank data. So I was just wondering if these global data sets are of such value to this global platform. Isn't it a good idea to have a new task force or initiatives, maybe together with these Friends of the Chair Economic Statistics, that looks into the possibilities to talk to private data owners to get more access to data? The UN is a very strong brand. In my experience, if you talk to companies in the name of the UN or in terms of Europe, it helps. So can't we explore and exploit even better this brand, the thing we did together, this global community and the UN brand, to get access to data as a whole? Should we in that? Thank you.
Powerful point, and I know there are other examples of the new data sets and sources that people have available and access to coming up. I think there's a great proposal there to build on commercial sources, and I might kind of put that one back to Ronald to make initial comments on. But Rob, before we do, in terms of the data sources and the delivery and so on, I wonder if you something you want to respond on about the technical delivery board plans and thoughts around how we scale up and what the opportunities to scale up on the types of data and the range of data sources. So I think that was kind of, at the heart of Bert's question.
Certainly, thank you, Tom. I think we've seen the power of the AIS data, for example, and we also have then we have both the flight data and we have the shipping data, the marine data. So I think that again, there are many problems or areas where we are looking to say, do we actually have that data to generate the observations, obviously to feed the analysis. We continue to look at ensuring that the data sets that we acquire access to will actually have some use. And so clearly there's a strong link to the task teams themselves in terms of them identifying some of the data assets that they want. But I do think that a stronger focus, picking up on what Bert has proposed, to further build out the potential or actual data assets that are available is key. I think the other thing, picking up on the comment about some of the financial data and so on, it reminds me that we do have the group that is working on privacy preserving techniques and the legal sub-team of that as well, because I do think that as we start to get into some of these more sensitive data, that we do run the issue of making sure that we have the appropriate technical controls and also understand clearly what the requirements are at the sort of legal or business level as well. But certainly that's something that is part of our road mapping activities, is to understand where we go next with these data assets. You can see clearly that we have done work with Earth observation data in partnership with or led by the task teams. Similarly, then there are these other data sets that I'm talking about. So I think that having a clear sense of need and a clear set of, if you could please go for here, coupled with a better understanding of opportunity. If we had this, then that would be really great to allow that. So yeah, definitely on our radar in terms of things to address.
Great, many thanks, Rob. We are coming to the end of this item. If there are any last burning points, please raise your hands. But while I'm waiting to see, maybe just wrap up very quickly and hand back to Rasenga. I mean, I think, you know, there's a huge amount here, and it's been great to hear from Rob, from Claire, from Ronald on where we are and the challenges and so on. I think suggestion from my side is that the Finance Committee, which Ronald has proposed here, and the group on private sector data, which Bert has suggested, that we haven't heard any great sort of shouts of disapproval, that we take those away and feed back. But essentially we have an in principle here that these are very interesting and we should be supporting in some way. But please do then feed your comments back into Ronald and team on these. It's not like the statistics community or the big data community to be shy and retiring and coming forward, but I appreciate that we don't have enough time to bring all of you into this discussion and this venue. But please do feedback in writing to Ronald and team on those. And also the points for discussion around funding and in-kind support. These are important for the platform to deliver on its value and the mission here. This scaling and this support is required. So that's obviously where we are. Great. Ronald, I saw you raised your hand very briefly. I don't know if you wanted to come in with any closing before I hand back to Rasenga.
Only to underline, so the proposal of Bert to have a task team dedicated to data acquisition and partnerships. We had something a few years ago on access and partnerships. I think this one is a bit more focused on direct data acquisition or evaluation, if you like. So I think that point taken, that we will try to work forward to see if we can create that group under the Global Working Group.
Excellent. Great stuff. All, thank you for contributions. And Rasenga, I'll hand back to you if you want to have any points in the middle of the items. Back to you.
Thank you indeed, Tom, and let us appreciate for facilitating the agenda item 3. But in the interest of time, I would like us to go to the regional hubs and take through matters that relate to regional hubs. But for starters, Tom, I have to put you more on the floor to give some introduction again. Tom, you've got the floor.
Thank you, Risenga. I will be brief. I think the hubs and the regional activities are one of the core parts of the platform and the program here. And for the UNGP to be truly global, supporting the wider community and delivering on the sorts of things we've just heard about, it always has been seen as being a truly global program that has regional leads that support project activity, that support capability building, that make this something for all of us rather than something being driven out of one or two organizations. And that's the real kind of key to scaling this. So I'm really pleased on that, that we've made great progress with the regional hubs. There's been some superb support and input and from each of the groups that we've about to hear from. So without much ado, let me have the pleasure of introducing colleagues from NBS China, Mr. Xian Zud, from NISR Rwanda, Yusuf and Ivan Mirenda. Thank you very much, Ivan, for standing in. And from FCSA, United Arab Emirates, Hatim El Sharif, to give us the perspective from each of the regional hubs on where they are and what's coming up. And I think the great point here, it's a great moment to think about this. There's lots of activity in terms of setup. It's a good moment to take stock because 2021 feels like the year that the hubs really start to motor and that really start to take off in terms of learning, training, delivery and projects and so on. So perhaps I could start by asking Mr. Xian Zud and NBS China to introduce and to talk us through your program. You have the floor.
Please, can you hear us?
Yes.
We can hear you.
请大家先看看我的工作组，把照一照全景。
So firstly, I would like to show you my working group here.
区域中心的工作小组。
So this is the working group for the regional center in China.
首先呢，我要祝贺工作组年会召开。我也这个过去的一年，工作组包括技术交付委员会的做了大量的工作，我们非常的赞赏。
So firstly, I would like to send our congratulations to the successful opening of this plenary meeting, and also our appreciation goes to all of you for the hard work you have done for the past year.
正像市长瑞拉先生所说的那样，数据的作用越来越重要。
So as you all have mentioned, that data is becoming more important.
我认为呢，这个全球平台以及各分区机构呢，将在未来大数据应用和推进数据革命、实现 SDG 这方面呢，发挥非常重要的作用。
So in my opinion, the global platform and the regional centers or regional hubs will play a bigger role in the implementation of SDG in data revolution and also in the application of big data.
中国呢，愿意与其他分中心一起为全球平台做出更多的贡献。
So from the Chinese side, we are very pleased to make contributions together with other regional hubs.
我们赞同和支持刚才市长先生说的这个全球平台的社区模式。
So we fully support the initiatives mentioned just now, the community model.
这个我们呢也愿意这个做出贡献。这个有人出人，有钱出钱。中国有一句话叫“众人拾柴火焰高”。我们一起努力为全球平台做出贡献。
So we are willing to provide in-kind support and also other kind of support to the maintenance of the UNGP. And there's an old saying in China that by working together, we can make a good result.
这个关于中国杭州中心的建设的，我们已经建设人员已经到位，办公区域已经到位。 基本的运行经费也已经到位。
So I would like to introduce some basic situation of the China Regional Hub. So currently we have the staff and we have the office and we also have the basic budget in place.
这个呢，我也非常高兴的告诉大家呢，中国政府已经批准了这个中国区域分中心的这个设立。我们正在跟这个 Readiness 先生呢正在商量，准备12月份签协议。然后呢，挂牌举行成立的这个仪式。
So I would also like to share a news that the regional center in China has got the approval from the Chinese government. So we are planning to have this signing ceremony and also this opening ceremony of the regional center in the beginning of December.
有关的这个细节呢，我们将会跟这个Readiness 先生统计师他们一起在商量。我在这儿要说的是呢，因为现在疫情期间，我们只能举行线上的签约。我们欢迎大家这个线上参加这个签约仪式。等以后这个疫情过了以后呢，我们欢迎大家来中国的杭州。
So for the details of the ceremony, we will have a discussion with the UNSD. And currently, considering this COVID-19, we can only hold an online signing ceremony. So after the COVID-19, you are all welcomed to visit China.
所以说在这儿呢，我也要这个感谢联合国统计师对这项工作的这个支持。
So here, please allow me to give my thanks to UNSD and all our colleagues.
对，最后我要说的是呢，因为在全球化、数字化以及这个新冠疫情的这个背景下面呢，联合国统计师各国统计界应该进一步的加强合作，共同的这个推动这个全球平台的建设，为实现 SDG 这个贡献更多的力量。
So with this, under this period of globalization and digitalization, and also considering this current situation of COVID-19 outbreak, we think that the cooperation between digital community and also other data community are quite important. Only by working together, we can contribute more to the monitoring of SDG.
谢谢大家。
Thank you.
Many thanks for that contribution, and also, of course, for the support in kind and direct for the program. So thank you. It's great to see the working group and your colleagues. So greetings, and great to see you and meet you. But also great to hear about the progress and the signing and the official recognition. Plus, I think your points about the SDGs are very well made and received. So that feels like one of the areas that each of us will look to push on. Let me hand over now to Ivan to talk about the Rwanda and UNECA work. Ivan, Deputy Director General at NISR Rwanda, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Tom, for this opportunity. Allow me to extend my appreciation again to the chair for coordinating us well on this. I think for my updates to share briefly where we've come at this point, but also our plans. And I would say, even though the regional hub is hosted in Rwanda at the National Institute of Statistics, Rwanda, we are key partners with the UNECA. So I want to start off by acknowledging their continuous support and guidance in these initiatives. Just I think about 3 weeks back, we had the regional meeting where we're again having conversations of what has to be done. So many thanks to Oliver and team. I think we've also had great support from the United Nations States Division, especially Ronald, who we have closely been in touch with. Yusuf, the Director General, is part of the main committee. I myself, once in a while, I do participate. these kinds of connections, again, speaking of the community, have been very paramount for us. So where are we at? For those who managed to attend the Big Data Conference, I think you witnessed, you saw by yourselves that we were set, first off, with a very amazing infrastructure that the government has provided us to host the hub, to host the regional center. I should say also we've secured the budget for setting up the key infrastructure IT systems. As I earlier alluded, we have had also the approval by government to expand our structure and have a fully fledged department to start with 13 staff, including a director, towards this initiative, partly to serve our plans for data science and big data analytics at the statistics office, but also to input into the work of the regional hub. Let me also take note of a key partner we've had along this process in the name of the Office of Statistics UK. Tom is here, I think, to represent them. We've had a very meaningful partnership in terms of all the planning, in terms of initial projects, piloting initial projects of data analytics, but also aspects of big data. I think what that means is that we are preparing ourselves that in the coming year or so, we will be able to have real things we can share with our fellow colleagues, fellow statistics officers in the region. And that kind of speaks into our next plans, which is be able to have some workshops, again, in partnership with the UNECA, where we are sharing, the realities about this. As we all acknowledge, this is quite a new initiative, and more so in Africa. So we want to be having some real cases that we can share with others and show of what can be done, starting with the initial legal and policy aspects of what has to be done, but also real projects. Namely, the recent interesting one I have been following on is analytics of financial information. With the COVID situation we had in Rwanda and in the world, it was more advised not to use cash. And so with the promotion of mobile money and other things, we've been able to do analytics with some key partners, the central bank and other regulators. And it's been amazing to show what big data analytics can really inform, and that is going to be spread on to other areas. So that's our plans. Our plans are to continue working on some projects, staff the team by end of Jan. That's our aim, to have the full-fledged team. In that line, we have agreed from ONS, they've already recruited a senior data scientist who is going to be working closely with our team, and they will actually come and be based in Rwanda. And the same person can also input into the ideas around the regional hub. Next is to be able to work on more projects, about 3 or 4 we are looking at, satellite imagery analysis, agriculture, that we can use towards half of next year, somewhere end of next year, to be able to arrange this workshop in partnership with the UNECA and probably also the United Nations Statistics Division, and be able to showcase what this means. So that's really our initial plan. We remain committed to the Global Working Group and keep giving our inputs and share our experiences as we go along. Thank you.
Ivan, many thanks for that. And the analytics of financial information there, it just reminds me of the point here. We are all learning. No one no one in this area knows everything. There are some great examples that we can all learn from each of the hubs. So that's fascinating to hear about the mobile work, the mobile money, and so on. So look forward to hearing more on that. Maybe I could pass straight on to Hatem El Sharif to talk around the experience from FCSA and United Arab Emirates. Hatem, over to you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much. It's really a great honor to be with you guys all. We've been working with UN Global Working Group for many years now, and it's This year was a start for us to start the seed for the first regional hub in UAE. The support we got from Ronald, for all the partners, and especially from the UK team also was very appreciated. And today I will first think it was a great year. We had a lot of changes. Yes, Corona have disrupted our plans for training, even with collaboration with partner, but we're still moving on. And one additional change, Tom, we no longer FCSA, we became FCSC. We have moved to be part of the Ministry of Cabinet Affairs. So our name became Federal Competitiveness and Statistics Centers. We're really looking forward to this step as boosting for our capacity. We have always looking to have a bigger role in the UAE, and as we are moving forward, our the regional hub in UAE is mainly focusing into increasing the awareness in the region. It's the first phase of moving from normal statistics to modernization of statistics. We feel this is the best bridge that can help everyone to move and look forward. People not only look at this as an application of big data, everyone is looking at as the future of statistics. How can this change the face of statistics? And we started this year with a series of awareness sessions. We started to collaborate already with many of the regional countries. We have now a really tight relationship with GCStat, and we started to collaborate in one group. Hopefully this will help us to spread the work through the region. We all see there is a very great need to increase the number of people to get attracted to the working in the global platform. It's the number of people is the most important part at this point. So we're focusing in the awareness. We had a plan mainly to make have like a regional capacity building center, and through depends on how the things will go, either with training session or it will be in a sense of seminar webinars, but with more focus in the specific streams. We want to be more specialized in some of the areas. Maybe we have also did some work in the financial analytics now we have a project with MasterCard, the credit plastic cards transactions. But on the other hand, we are having we see great potential in during Expo. It has been moved to 2020. So we're already working together to have like a booth there to start having session, not to limit big data and statistics for only statistician. We want to reach out to all the government entity. One of our hopes is to be a bridge to all government entities to incubate the project they want to sponsor. They sponsor the project. So we believe the model of project financing or project per project funding model that Ronald have mentioned before is the best for regional hub, because it will give the chance for seeing results for each funding process and encourage others to be. More of the points also we're really focusing in the young youth. We are trying to establish our connection with universities to get people to know statistics as the art of data, and also to have many of the leaders for the modernization of data and statistics. So this is mainly in a nutshell, a very quick about this year in UAE Regional Hub. And thank you for the time. Thank you.
Hatim, many thanks. I very much like your statistics as the art of data. And it makes me think of data science as well, and the art and science done. But listen, some super things going on. I think, you know, the challenge for all of us over the coming year is to turn some excellent projects and so on and start seeing the outputs and the outcomes, the endpoints for those. And I think that applies to the platform as a whole. So from the previous item and this item, but there's some stunning work going on. So congratulations to all, and thank you for your support. I would also like to make one point about the Brazil IBGE hub. The Brazil team are working very closely with UNSD on this, and are working on an institutional agreement regarding the hub. So I don't think at this stage we can say more, but just to be aware of this, and hope to be able to announce in due course on that. So look forward to working with Brazil colleagues as well. So this item was for information. If you have questions, please put them in the chat and we will take them away and include them in the report of the meeting. But I would very much like to thank colleagues from China, NBS China, from NISR Rwanda, and from FCSC. I'm apologizing, Hatim, for not knowing the update from the UAE teams. So thank you very much on that. Risenga, back to you.
Thank you very much, Tom. And in the interest of time, I want to lead us to agenda item number 6. And Mashid will lead us on this one with an introduction. Over to you, Mashid.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you for the opportunity to shortly introduce this item on the agenda. As you all might be aware of, the task teams are communities of global partners working together to explore, develop, and share new methods, techniques, and best practices for working on big data. At the moment, we have the following task teams: the previously mentioned IAS data, big data, and the SDGs, Earth observations data, mobile phone data, privacy-preserving techniques, scanner data, and training competencies and capacity development. If you are interested in more detailed knowledge of what the individual task teams are doing, I would ask you to go on our website. What happened is that the existing task teams are very active and conduct many activities that can benefit statistical society. And I would here reiterate what Ronald has already pointed out and invite you to join the task teams and contribute with your experience to the further work. And we as a group would be happy to make the connection if you find it necessary. But there are not only the existing task teams working on big data, there are some evolving task teams, which means they have been created but still need to start the work under the global working group. And here there are 3 task teams I would like to mention. These are task teams on integrating statistical and geospatial information, which is led by National Land Survey of Finland and Statistics Poland. Then there is a task team on Rural Access Index and SDG 911, which is led by the World Bank. Then the final one is the task team of mapping of informal settlements and SDG indicator 11.1.1. This team is led by University of Warwick. Also, if you would prefer to join this group, you are more than welcome to do it, and we will be happy to connect you with those groups. Now, to the individual presentations that we are about to experience in a few seconds, I would like to ask the presenters to keep the presentations short and the maximum up to 3 minutes. And besides picking all the points you might find relevant for the group, I would also ask you to relate to how the results and the work of the task teams can be put on spot in both the global platform and regional platform in order to encourage even more traffic and interest from the NSOs and global data community. These were my introduction words, and I will go back to the chair and to the presentation of the task team. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mashid. Let me go ahead and ask the task team members to take to the floor, and I'll start with Alice Bond from Canada. Your maximum of 3 minutes. Have we lost Alice? It doesn't look like. I will skip Alice for the time being. Let's go to Esperanza from the ITU on the task team on mobile phone data. Esperanza, you lead us.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. So the task team on mobile phone data, which is currently comprising of more than 50 members from countries, international and regional agencies, private institutions, and academia, is currently using mobile phone data in developing methodologies to get complementary information and provide quality checks for indicators included in the SDGs and other indicators that can be used for official statistics. So until 2019, the task team has been very active in reaching its goal, including conducting workshops in countries such as Colombia, Rwanda, and Indonesia, as well as in preparing the handbook, the first handbook on the use of mobile phone data. In 2019, towards the end of it, the 6 subgroups under the task teams were formed, with each task group tasked to develop methodologies that will focus on areas such as disaster and displacement statistics, dynamic population mapping, information society statistics, migration statistics, tourism statistics, transportation, and commuting statistics. The task team, through its subgroups, hopes to have all these materials through a form of handbooks that will outline how the mobile phone data can be used to calculate the statistics that pertains to their specific work. The handbooks will be used to develop online training materials, including e-learning courses, which can be then used to conduct regional or country workshops and trainings in collaborations with the regional hubs, as well as conducting awareness raising events through the Big Data Conference and World Data Forum, and in conducting projects that could illustrate how countries could benefit on the use of mobile phone data. Lastly, the task team is also hoping to prepare a synthetic data that could be used by countries during the trainings or in the global platform. So this is the report of the task team on mobile phone data. I pass the floor to you back, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Esperanza. I don't know whether Alice is ready now to talk to us, but
can you hear me now?
Yeah, Alice, you have the floor, please, by all means.
Thank you. I apologize. I've been having trouble all morning with Teams, but so I'm here to provide a summary of the task team on Earth observation. And we've had quite a busy year this year. It was an opportunity to reset our objectives and focus on a couple of deliverables. So one key deliverable was working on the training program, which is part of the mandate of the whole of all the task teams. And so this has been led by Australia and the FAO. And we are now just engaging with the other task team on training. And so we are well on our way in developing a curriculum for training from an introductory level to advanced level on how to use Earth observation data for agriculture statistics. Another deliverable is that we created a subtask team focusing on further research on methods for using Earth observation data for calculating agriculture statistics, yields, and crop types, etc. And so here advancing that kind of work with more sophisticated methods, looking at methods, supervised and unsupervised methods, with the goal of trying to reduce the need for in situ data, training data for producing agriculture statistics. As we know, in situ data is quite expensive to collect, but are there alternative methods and other alternative data sources? And so the output of that will be a handbook in the future. Also, another achievement this year is that leveraging the global platform. So we had a special project with the FAO, and certainly the FAO has been playing an important part this year with the task team. And so working with the UN global platform and the FAO, they were able to stand up the Send to Agri toolbox, and some data sets. And so this is a toolbox that has been created by the European Space Agency, and it is a toolbox for processing high-resolution satellite images for agriculture statistics. And so it needed an environment, a high-power computing environment. And so the FAO has decided then to put the toolbox and data sets on the UN Global Platform. So this is a really great example of how we can use the global platform to share this kind of information, the algorithms and the data sets for countries to use to produce agriculture statistics. And then lastly, I'd just like to describe, we've created a joint task team. So with the UN Committee on Experts for Food Security, Agriculture and Rural Statistics, they were going to create a committee for EO, using EO for agriculture statistics. And so we decided then to merge these two committees, one with our task team and then this task team. And so now we have a joint task team. And so this really is a great opportunity to diversify and increase our membership of the task team. And again, starting to bring in organizations like the World Bank, who are really going to be keen, who are keen in participating in the task team and contributing, particularly in our research project in developing additional methods for using EO data for agriculture statistics. So, Mr. Chair, that is my summary of our activities over the year.
Alice, thank you very much. We really appreciate the work that you are doing on Earth observations. Let us move straight to Tanya Flower, straight on matters of scanner data. Tanya, you have the floor.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, so I'm here today to talk through the work on the UN task team on scanner data. So the aim of this task team is to increase the use of new data sources, so web scraped and scanner data, in consumer price statistics. The task team was relaunched in summer 2020 with the aim of building on the success of the first phase of the task team, which ran from May 2017 to April 2019. So the second phase, we wanted to focus on recruiting some new members, as there was a lot of work to get through. So our group has now expanded to 31 EU members covering a wide range of countries and experience. And we also produced a new term of reference covering the second phase of work. So the 3 work streams that we have identified will focus on price index methods, classification and training. So for index methods, in terms of where we're working with the UN Global Platform, we've identified a candidate R package that we hope to be loaded onto the UN Global Platform soon, and also provide some synthetic data. So countries will be able to start using the data and the example methods and documentation to start experimenting with these methods and apply them in their own production. The classification work stream is kind of scoping out the kind of skeleton guidance now and focusing on what we want to cover for that particular work stream. We hope to have something in the new year for that. And the final work stream on training, you've already heard it mentioned previously, is working with the other task teams on kind of formulating a training program for these data. So hopefully quick summary of the work of the UN task team on scanner data for you.
Thank you very much, Tanya. And when I saw the slides, I was saying I can see there's a lot of work being done in all the task teams. Let's go straight to the task team on AIS data, and that will be led by Maki from the UNSD. Please, Maki, you have the floor.
Mr. Chair, you can hear me well? I would like to describe our achievement into the 2020 and also a little bit of our plan in 2021. So AIS task team is one of the team that have benefiting from global data sets at the UN Global Platform, and the availability of the data in the platform has attracted more than 130 users from around the world. In February 2020, so we deliver the live AIS Handbook, which is available online in our wiki. So this is one of the achievements where we bring basically the awareness on AIS and also some of the use cases. And then in the following month, we organize what we call AIS Data Week. So this is a two-pronged approach where we had presentations on several use cases. For example, AIS to measuring some emissions or to track illegal fishing, and also for freight transportation, and at the same time also up the UN platform to of the users, and we would provide a technical. And then the something is important and is quite innovative. So organized the AIS hackathon in September 2020, and this has attracted more than 43 teams around the globe, and we have to filter down up to 17 teams. And then from 17, so we identified the winner, three in the overall category, the others in the students category, because we also would like to create students. If you see the result hackathon, there is quite amazing. I mean, the winner of the hackathon is basically using a week of that AIS, and they are able to estimate maritime emissions around the globe in 5 days, right? So this is a big achievement that we try to replicate. So now we try to establish the relationship between their team is the carbon, with our official statistics, which is SEA, System of Economic and Environmental Accounting, so that they can work together to develop better monitoring on the maritime emissions. We also released the AIS dashboards containing the global portals and also the trade volume. So our colleagues in IMF are able to use AIS and they have estimate the global trade volume and also by region and ship types. This is also something indicate this is very close to official statistics. And to underline the importance of AIS, the UNCTAD report on maritime transport, which was this last week, the report underlined the importance of AIS data, right? This is a focus on more into maritime transport statistics. The task team participated in the various events such as ICAO webinars, GWG Data Conference, World Data Forum Road to Burn series, and so on. And currently, we are still developing the awareness and the foundations level of AIS e-learning courses. So next year, we plan to work in more methodology. We would like to look at the existing use cases, especially the results of the AIS hackathon, and we would like to put them into our handbooks. Another project that we would like to establish is that we would like other databases as global registers, bill of lading, and satellite, not the weather information or weather data sets, so that we would be able to expand the use of AIS. So this is also to underline that AIS itself is useful, but by combining the data set, that could be even more useful. So we also plan to have the next AIS Data Week in 2021, and also the next AIS Hackathon. And as part of the outreach and awareness, so we plan to regularly share activities of the global platform in the various fora, such as that newsletter, some of our forums. And finally, in order to have a better user experience, so we also plan to somehow improve the analytical interface or analytical platform, AIS platform at the global platform. And thank you, sir.
Thank you, Maki Murewan. Let us take Maciej Zinski to take the floor. Maciej, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I would shortly talk about the task team on the SDG and the big data for the SDGs. So our major and idealistic ambition is to provide some concrete tools for monitoring SDG indicators for individual countries. The challenge is that although there is quite a big discussion about how you can do it, particularly on the target level, there is not much concrete inspiration on how you do it on the indicator level. And this is what we are trying to crystallize, how to find some anchoring points in order to be able to provide methods for following up on individual SDG indicators for the countries. At the same time, we are thinking about mapping of different initiatives that can assist countries in their follow-up on the SDGs. What we did in 2020 is, for the first, we have restarted the task team. After a period, after a break of 1 or 2 years, restarted it, and we followed quickly up on this with a survey in order to show us what we do have and what we do not have. And this was rather inspiring and enlightening issue to do this survey, because we are slightly aware of, or not slightly, we are aware of which path we can follow and which are harder to do. Then what we would like to do in 2021, we would like to make a repository of big data activities that can relate to the use of big data for the SDGs. And furthermore, when we have some concrete inputs on the further work, we would like to create a data community in order to provide methodology for the countries. My idealistic picture is that there is some methodology and global database that can be used by the countries in order to apply this database on their particular situation. At the moment, I don't know whether it's feasible, but this is to be investigated. And if those steps like projects and methodologies succeed, we would like to have 1 or 2 workshops with different countries discussing and making some advice on how you can follow up on the SDGs with the big data. And we hope to share the activities of the task team on the global platform, particularly on the marketplace of the global platform. That is how it looks like. The work is to be accelerated in the coming time, and we will be happy to share our work with you and answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maciej. Let's take Matthias Jörg on the task team on privacy preservation techniques. Matthias, you have the floor.
Thank you, Risenga. So welcome, hello everyone. I am chair of the task team of privacy preserving techniques, and this team was active since 2018. And last year, we published the first handbook on use of privacy-preserving techniques in official statistics. So that was great success, and this document became kind of a reference book, not only for statistical community, but even broader. So it was referenced in, for example, in Gartner analysis papers about this topic and many other papers. So this year we expanded the scope and also extended the membership. First, we established the legal subgroup, which has members from academia and from statistical organizations, and is investigating what are the legal implications, what legal impact these techniques have. Then the COVID-19 crisis started, so we quickly established so-called COVID-19 subgroup. And in COVID-19 subgroup, we provided a platform for exchange of experience between the experts for privacy-preserving techniques, many of whom were involved in the response activities, for example, in developing privacy-preserving techniques for tracking, contact tracking applications, and similar. So that group was active for several months. Then, with the regular subgroup, we started looking into the next step from the last year handbook. So the focus now is more on the identifying concrete statistical use cases and concrete research that is happening in statistical community, and then try to map this research to techniques that were investigated in the first handbook and provide kind of more practical reference guide that could help implementation of these techniques. And in that respect, we are also working in collaboration with the UNEC project that was established also this year and has representatives from statistical organizations trying to document use cases for input privacy techniques, which is a subgroup of privacy techniques that we are covering. Then the last but very important subgroup that we also established this year is training subgroup that has aim to develop the training program for privacy preserving techniques. This is very important because, in many statistical organizations, people are probably not even aware of potential of these techniques, let alone how to use them. So in that respect, we just recently started a partnership with University of Oxford and open source community, PyTorch and OpenMind in developing quite ambitious training program, and first courses will be developed early next year. And then similarly to other task teams, we are also organizing, helping or organizing sessions at international events. And in the future, we also plan to probably do more support to other teams as they start maybe dealing with some privacy issues or privacy questions they acquire new data. So yeah, that is our team, and yeah, we are open for any questions.
Thank you, Matthias. We will not take questions other than on the communication platform, the chat platform. So let me encourage members of the plenary and delegates to put their comments on the chat. Let us take our last task team by Dominika Rochalinska, who leads a task team that looks at training, competencies, and capacity development. Dominika.
Good morning. I believe Dominika is not present. She's also not really the chair of our task team. The chair is actually Mr. Dominik Roskut from Statistics Poland, but he's currently not available, so I will have to say a few words on behalf of our task team. My name is Ralph Beckers. I'm from UNSD. I'm working in Ronald's team, and I'm the contact for the task team on training competencies and capacity development. Unlike other task teams that work on specific substantive areas on big data, and of course also look at providing training in these areas now, our task team has a background function. So we are looking at understanding and proposing solutions to help build capacity for institutions that are using or starting to use big data for official statistics. So in this sense, we're looking at background information, background requirements for providing training in the sense of what is needed in the supply portion of the training, but also looking at how can we actually determine what kind of training is actually needed. So we're working on one hand with the countries that are actually expecting training from the global community, as well as with other task teams now that will start to provide this training to the countries. So in our work with the task teams, also we're now working to support these task teams in their training programs by providing guidance and common approaches to the development of training courses. In terms of the activities that we have done so far in the last year, the task team has conducted a global assessment of institutional readiness for the use of big data in official statistics that was essentially a follow-up to similar kinds of surveys that have been done 2 and 4 years ago. And this actually has allowed us a little bit to see where countries stand and what kind of expectations they have, which of course leads to an identification of the gaps they have in the capacity of using big data. And of course, this assessment looks not only at technical skills, which I think are always on everybody's mind when we talk about big data, but we're actually looking at the organization's readiness, which considers then also factors such as strategic data science coordination, the legal framework underpinning all of this work, the IT infrastructure, and of course also human resources. The final report of this actually has been submitted also to the Statistical Commission as a background document earlier this year. So all of this is available on the Global Working Group website for our task team. Another main output that we have produced this year was actually a competency framework for big data acquisition and processing. So this framework is actually aimed at statistical officers for recognizing the expectations and demands for the use of big data and official statistics. So this covers quite an area of skills and knowledge that are considered relevant for those working with big data. And here again, we have to say that we are not only focusing on the technical skills that of course immediately come to mind when we talk about trying to use big data, but we're also going in the area of soft skills and other associated skills and experiences that countries need to have to actually make the work with big data successful. This, of course, looks at a lot of skills that are also needed at an individual level. So this can also be used for planning of capacity development at the individual level in statistical office. So it really looks at different aspects of this approach. We're also working right now, and we're just days away essentially from publishing the final outcome on a big data maturity matrix. This is actually a matrix now, a tool that will allow statistical officers to undertake a self-assessment of their current level of big data maturity and compare it to their expectation of where they want to be, where they see themselves as the ideal place for their work in the near future. The matrix, of course, helps the statistical officers to consider, prioritize, and plan for their needs based on the gaps that can be identified. And we are really looking at this as a first step in identifying training needs for the different countries, which we then try to link up to the development of actual training courses. And this is where we see the future work. We have already started in our task team with this. The actual completion of guidance for developing online, especially online training courses or general training courses on big data. Again, we're not only looking at technical aspects here, but really trying to address a different set of skills or wide variety of skills that are needed to make the work with big data successful. So to move this forward, we have started, of course, now also a communication with the other task teams. And we're looking at individual steps that they have taken to plan for training activities. And we try to link this up with the work and the guidance that our task team can now provide so that we can actually develop a basis that is consistent across different sub areas of big data when we look at the development and the provision of training courses. This does not only look at the consistent application of skills that have to be addressed in the different courses, but also that we have a more common understanding of the different levels of courses that we can provide. We're still looking at, and I think for the task teams that we talked about, that we talked with already, they take a similar approach. We're looking at courses at different levels, awareness courses, beginner courses, intermediate courses, practitioner courses, expert courses. But we still have to come to a better understanding of what separates these courses. What are the different requirements and criteria that would actually identify in which of these levels courses would fall. So this is work that we see as our the next step in our work progress here, that we work closer with the other task teams. We're trying to develop, in coordination with the other task teams, guidance for the development of training courses. We're also looking at the same time at some practical aspects in terms of actually setting up a learning management system on the UN Global Platform
Ralph,
that we can use.
Ralph,
Yeah, I only need 20 more seconds.
Okay, great.
A learning management system that we can use to actually host all of the training courses in a consistent way in one place that actually links it up to the work of the global working group. So these are the next steps that we're planning. And so we're really looking forward to a better cooperation with the other task teams. And we will also reach out, I think, to other members of the global working group to support our task team. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph, and indeed, thank you for saving the day and representing the task team. You have a lot on your plate in terms of allowing us to have the necessary competencies and developing capacity in the right direction. I want us to come to agenda item 6, and I will make a few suggestions on how we will deal with it, and this is in the interest of time. I didn't realize that the task teams would really take much of our time. I'm going to ask Ronald to do an introduction, but not only do that, to go through the entire agenda, all the items on the agenda. And I will request that we deal with the comments and submissions by way of email as sent to the Secretariat for purposes of moving forward. So Ronald, if you allow, I would request you to lead us with an introduction and take us through the entire agenda item. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. Try to see if I can get my presentation up. So this is the agenda item which will discuss the preparation of the report from our group, from the Global Working Group, to the Statistical Commission, to the 52nd session of the Statistical Commission, which will take place in March 2021. As Stefan indicated at the beginning, it's probably a virtual meeting, but nevertheless, we will have an item on big data on the agenda. And we are preparing now a report to the Commission, basically with all the information which we discussed today, and I'll just go over that here. Just upfront, we need to submit this paper early December. What we've seen here and the documentation is a very early draft. A lot needs to be rewritten on that. It gives you an impression about where we are. We will share this with all of you in about 10 days to get further input on the actual text. At this point, I really want to focus on the messaging, the kind of request we have to the Statistical Commission. That's, I think, most important for this report, and I'd like you to reflect on that and to give us further guidance on that. This is the structure of the report. As I said, a lot of the items which we discussed today will be in there. This is also here, the structure itself can still change once we go to further finalizing the draft. I want to highlight two things. One is let me start with that, with the 6th International Conference. I just wanted to mention that. We haven't mentioned it before during this 2 hours that we have, but we had a very, I think, a successful 6th International Conference on Big Data, which we organized with Statistics Korea. They really supported us a lot in making this happen in difficult circumstances, because it was a virtual event which we had to put together. I think it was a high quality event, a lot of good presentations, a lot of it on one of the themes which you had, which is the COVID-19 response. It showed that the statistical community is able and ready to produce and work with partners within their governments to produce on the basis of new data sources and new methods to produce indicators in a timely manner. The other point I wanted to raise is and it has been mentioned a few times, the global training program, something that will come up in the report that we will bring to the Commission. We've started, as you may remember, working with more commercial partners to see if we can bring up that global training program fairly fast. We tried that early in this calendar year. That did not work out, and we are now doing this again more in the sense of our community spirit. Is that we are have the lead now by the training group, as Ralph just indicated, and working with the task teams to move that training program forward. That we need to report as well in this in the report to the Commission. I've mentioned here a few messages that could be given to the Commission, but again, I really like you to invite you to think about that, if these are the messages, the right messages to send to the Statistical Commission, and if there are other messages which are not given in what's provided here, and which you would like to add. These points are in the documentation, so you can refer to that, and I'll just briefly introduce them here. First point here is to emphasize that big data and data science, together with many stakeholders, can be essential for official statistics, for the modernization of official statistics. Just putting that point back on. A promotion of the UN Global Platform to be used, given that we have these capabilities now for our global community, and to make sure that we use it while it is there. And then also invite especially also those officers which might have more difficulties in getting access to latest technology, to see how they can use the platform's capabilities. Then we have these points which are linking back to the community model, support through in-kind and financial contributions. It refers back to a survey that we have done among us about where these contributions could be made. We'd like to also bring this to the Commission to get the whole community aware of this and see how they can be part of that community. We want to have a point here on the regional hub. This could be maybe formulated in more detail, and we'd like your guidance on that. But we heard about the regional hubs today. They're ready for training and project activities, and we would like to bring this also to the attention of the Commission. And again, here I mentioned the training program. I think that's something that's really important, because for all institutes to be able to actually work with us, then they need to have the basic kind of levels of understanding about what this is dealing with, and that's why we need the training for all of the institutes to be on, and to be on there fairly swiftly. I give back at this point to the chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ronald. Thank you indeed, Ronald. I appreciate you have presented to us as we march forward to the UNSC, which, as Stefan has indicated, we are going to hold remotely, because it doesn't look like we'll meet in person, but it doesn't stop us from making the necessary arrangements. But since we do not have much time, I would like to encourage that we give comments and input on this work that Ronald has raised with us through emails. And of course, it would assist us a lot as we go to the UNSC. We have received reports indeed from task teams. We have received reports from our hubs. And one of the things that we need to appreciate is that our hubs are assisting us to have a reach in regions, in different regions of the world. But not only that, to make sure that we leave no one behind. If we do not take advantage of big data to steer us firstly into the future, but secondly in the immediate, to assist us addressing challenges of the world, including those that have been posed by the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, then we will have failed the world if we can't do so. So one of the things we're ready with to deal with the work of the Global Working Group on Big Data and through other facilities and the platform, is that we should be able to make sure that we rally along every region in the world. The other thing is to make sure that we develop the necessary capacities, because the world has been disrupted by COVID-19, and indeed the new world, the new life, the new cultures that will emerge will churn out data that we will need to harness a lot more quicker. So let me say, as I thank you all, and indeed all of you delegates and distinguished delegates in your own right, let me thank you so much for having made time that we gathered today and have a 2-hour session of what would have been a very long day. And indeed, let us continue holding fort wherever we are to make sure that the work continues. Together, we will change the world, and together we will leave seeds for yet children that are to be born, who will take over a world that will live a better place. I thank you all, and the plenary is concluded. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. See you soon, folks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.